Welcome to another episode of 10 Minutes With, and today, ironically, we're with a podcaster and marketeer. So, Michelle.
There's a lot of us about, isn't there, Beth, right?
Apparently there is. So, how are you?
I'm great, thank you. Thanks so much for asking me to do this. This is a thrill.
So it's literally short and sharp to tell us what you do.
Right, so I have a midlife podcast called Two Women Chatting. I started it almost 3 years ago now. And like so many podcasts, started in COVID, but we lasted. Most podcasts don't last more than 5 episodes. Because I think people think they can just podcast, right? And I'm sure you found this. There's more to it than sitting there with a microphone talking about what you had for breakfast. There's more to it. And it is such a learning curve, but it has been such a joy to add skills. And I'm in my mid-50s. Okay. You know, I didn't expect to be a podcast host in my mid-50s. So this has been a wonderful career pivot for me that has really given me a lot of energy and excitement and passion for what I'm doing. Yeah. So my target audience is midlife women, like from the age of 40 and onwards. And I don't do menopause track too much. There is a lot of menopause chat in the broadcasting world. I talk about everything that I'm interested in, basically. Okay. Be it somebody who was kidnapped by pirates, to looking after your parents with dementia, to drink spiking, to future-proofing your health, and things like that. So it's a very, very wide topic area. I don't think I'll run out of things.
No, I don't think you will. I think, looking back when you started this, what was your motivation? Because there's a lot of young people out there that think or may consider setting up their own podcast, even to today, and they might consider doing something along those lines. What sort of advice would you give someone who wants to start now? I mean, obviously you started during the lockdown season, so what about now? Someone joining and doing it now?
It is entirely possible.
Okay.
We're not going to flatline on podcasts. You can have a podcast on any kind of subject. Make sure that it's something that you're genuinely passionate about. Don't make it up. Okay. Don't suddenly become an expert on porridge. You know, talk about something that means something to you. Okay. Work out how much time it's going to take you, and then double or triple it. Because it's going to take way more time, as I said, than you just recording into a machine. It's way more than that, because the skill sets you need include graphic design, SEO, optimization on websites, website design, marketing, PR, getting hold of journalists, talent booking if you have guests. All of those are completely doable, but don't think it's going to be done in an hour and you're, done. And of course your editing skills, if you have any.
Sounds like a lot to do. And did you learn all of this? Did you start? So you went from doing nothing in the podcast world as such to learning everything around podcasting, and lots of young people are out there going, they're there and I want to do my own podcast. What was your setup cost when you first started?
Oh, well, so I didn't go from zero to hero, that's for sure. I do have a voice acting background. I've been voice acting for 20 years. So I know my way around a microphone. Okay. What I don't know is how to video edit. Impossible. And I don't like multi-track editing, also really hard. It's a skill that's very different from me narrating a book for 10 hours and then just handing that off to a production office. So you do need some skills, but of course they're entirely learnable, especially if you're young. I mean, I've had to make capacity in my brain as a midlife woman. Quite possibly, I've forgotten my children's names, trying to find more space in my brain to learn these things. But of course, it's entirely possible, as long as you work hard.
And the cost of setting this up, what was it, a laptop, a mic? Was it the basics?
Yeah, well, I'll go back even to when I started my voice acting career, and it's a laptop, it's a microphone off of Amazon, a mixer is nice because you do want to control the quality of your audio, and a quiet space. And that can be a closet. It can be a wardrobe. That's how I started, in a wardrobe that I filled with duvets. And I have been known to do voice work for people, for clients in hotels, in a wardrobe with a duvet over my head. So you don't have to have a lot of cost, but you do need to look at your hosting platform. How much is that going to cost? Do you need to outsource your editing? How much is that going to cost? Do you need to never pay people to come on your show? Like when you're starting out, I've never paid anybody anything, and I have incredible guests. I'm so lucky to have really very well-known household names who just say yes. And also never accept no, because there's always a way.
Now, lots of people are sitting there going, well, you know, that's great, I want to do my own podcast, but, you know, I need to earn some money. You know, these things are, you know, people aspire to do what you're doing for a living, and they want to rely on that income. So what would you suggest someone does? You know, how's that going to come into the fold? Do you look at sponsorship? Do you look at you know, promotional stuff? How does the economics work?
Yeah, now that is a hard thing in podcasts, to actually make some money. And there are various ways of doing it. You can get advertisers, and you can record mid-roll adverts, pre-roll adverts. You can sell a bunch of episodes and say, do you want 3? If you're going to do it by downloads, which is what a lot of people monetize by, if you're on, say, Acast as a platform, you can have adverts inserted into your show. You've got to have you're looking at 10,000 downloads per episode before you even see anything worthwhile. It's tiny. So what I would recommend is, if you do want to, if it's not just a passion project and you do need to pay the rent, then I would absolutely be looking at sponsorships. And that, of course, is different if it's B2B or B2C, or, you know, something like I do, which is purely, I don't know what you'd call it, C2C or something. But look at what your audience is. You know, I think it's easier to find sponsors and people who are willing to maybe even pay you to have their CEO or whatever from their company come on your show. That's another possibility. You might be paid quid pro quo with products, with things that they want to give you in exchange. Is that worth it to you? You need to evaluate that for yourself, because again, that does not pay rent. You know, there's only so many bags I can use.
Absolutely. Now, but there is the spin-offs, the connections you make, the people. So it might not be a financial thing initially, but I can imagine you've met some amazing people, and there's other things that may or not have come off the back of it.
Absolutely right. So if you think of podcast as your way in to having a platform, you're having a voice, you are also meeting people, networking. Networking, of course, as we all know, is incredibly important. You have to show up. I've found that I've got more listeners, more connections by showing up. You've got to go face to face, talk to people, get them to talk to their friends, you know, word of mouth, that sort of thing. But yes, it's incredible, the opportunities. I've decided that I'm going to say yes more than I say no, for example. Right. And one of the things that I said yes to, which I never would have thought would happen to me, is that I was asked to co-host on a radio show. And it's local to Weybridge, it's Brooklands Radio. I'm like, oh my gosh, I think I'm going to be ill. I actually thought I was going to be sick the first time I did it, and I did it. And now I have my own radio show quite frequently, and I only started with them in May. So now I'm on a radio show. I get to do public speaking at all kinds of events for midlife women, for empty nesters, for health reasons as well, for career pivots, and I've started to love it. I really, really enjoy it.
But I think one of the key things you mentioned is you found your niche, you found your area of expertise and what you're going to talk about, which is important, because like you said, you know, don't talk about porridge, you know, find what you're good at, find what you want to talk about, and then expand it, and it can lead to financial rewards later on down the line, and the connections and everything you do with those individuals you come across with. And it's the most important thing. It's, like you said, it's the network you're building. So my final question to you is, if you could give any, you know, an aspiring podcaster some advice, what would it be?
I think I would go back to what I said originally, is never accept no. There's always a way. I hardly ever go to an agent to get a guest booked. So my tip for talent booking is find the angle, DM them. What have you got to lose? They might say no, but they might say yes. Try not to use their agents. Find another way. If they've got a book coming out, go to their publishers. You know, just use some lateral thinking and never be put off by the first no, because once you've got one person, then you can add to that stable, and all of a sudden you've got all these people, and you can say, yeah, I've had Althea Turner, I've had Prue Leith, you know, if you come on my show, you're joining all kinds of these sort of people, and that might be for a business niche And then everybody wants to be on your show. So never accept no and find a way.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. That was our episode with the podcaster, with Michelle. Thank you very much.